Hello, this is Eddie's OK at the DFLA response to the 13th of October. I'm all sure you know about the march, and the gentleman would just like to say a few things. When you're ready, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So, this is a direct response from the DFLA to the occurrences on our march last Saturday, 13th of October. We'd like to start by going through the work we did with the police, our routing that was agreed, and obviously the Public Disorder Act that was issued on our event. So I should start by saying that we, the DFLA, attended a liaison meeting with the Metropolitan Police. In that, it was discussed the route in which we wanted to take, and the agreed meeting points and rally points that we wanted for the 13th. This was agreed, and the agreed route and rally points were the Hilton Hotel on Park Lane would be closed to the DFLA for allowing us to conduct speeches at the beginning of our march, and that would be our start rally point. Our march would proceed along Park Lane and then turn left into Piccadilly, go along Piccadilly where we would then turn right into St James's Street. We then would turn left onto Pall Mall. Along Pall Mall we would then enter Trafalgar Square. From Trafalgar Square we would then enter Whitehall, where we would move down to the north end of Whitehall near Horse Guards, where we would have a staging area for further speeches to be conducted. Also on the day, it was agreed that we could hand deliver a letter which would include various questions and concerns that we feel the people of this country have got. We also had a letter to be given to the police that is addressed to the Police Commissioner for the Metropolitan Police Force. All this was agreed and was put into place. During the coming days towards the march, we had constant communication with the police, in which we did raise certain concerns. For 2 weeks in the build-up to our march, there was relentless activity towards us from the far left. This included the group known as Antifa. Also another group known as FLAF, Football Lads and Lasses Against Fascism. These groups were relentless in their I'm doing it again. Are you able to speak?
I can stop it and start it again.
Jesus Christ. Right, sorry guys, I'm really sorry. Oh, you're live.
Carry on, gentlemen. It's all right. It's all right. We're human beings. We're human beings. We're human beings. You carry on, sir.
Right. The relentless attacks on us and the threats.
No, you have to start again, Gal.
Have I completely?
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. No, carry on. Carry on. You just carry on. You just carry on, brother.
Cool. Just write activity down and stop a bit of paper.
Cool. At least everyone knows it's genuine. When you say start again, right from the very beginning.
Yeah. Just
okay.
Start, yeah.
All right. Okay. Off we go. Yeah.
Go.
Hello, everybody. This is a direct response for the activities that occurred on our march on the 13th of October. Saturday 13th. This response will start with the negotiations that we had with the Metropolitan Police Force, and I will go over the agreed route and rallying points that was agreed with the police. We will also touch on the Public Disorder Act that was issued against the rally. So, we, the DFLA, attended a meeting with the Metropolitan Police where we agreed rally points, and we also agreed our route. The route that was agreed with the police and rally points were as follows. The rally point on Park Lane opposite the Hilton Hotel, which was the same rally point that we had the previous year, in our first march. That was our rally point where we would be allowed to have our speakers and to begin our march. Our march route was then to continue on down Park Lane, turning left onto Piccadilly. From Piccadilly we would march along and then take a right-hand turn into St James's Street. St James's Street we would then take a left onto Pall Mall, following all the way along Pall Mall directly into Trafalgar Square. From Trafalgar Square we would then move into Whitehall, and the north end of Whitehall around the Horse Guards, the rally point in which we would end our day. Also on the day we had agreement, and that was all fully agreed, also on the day we had agreement that we would be able to deliver a handheld letter raising our concerns and the concerns that we believe the people of this country have got to 10 Downing Street addressed to the Prime Minister. We also had agreement that police would hand over a letter, the very same letter that would go to the Police Commissioner. All this was agreed and put in place. Then subsequent days leading up to the march we had further communication with the police. This involved us raising the concerns of the relentless activity of the far left. This included the groups Antifa and FLAF, as we call it, which is the Football Lads and Lasses Against Fascism. The threats were made that they would disrupt and stop our march, and there were threats of violence towards our group. We in turn kept this liaison with the police, and just to read a section from an email from us to the police which has been acknowledged. Our concerns about the constant threats to disrupt and block our march have been relentless, including the RMT and Unison unions offering free travel to oppose us. Antifa have been posting up meet points that they have discovered for various clubs who are attending our event. We truly hope that you get the act you need to give you the power you need to keep them at arm's length, as they seem hell-bent on causing us problems on the day. We will have a lot of women and children on our march, and violence is not an option and cannot be allowed to happen. And that was a quote, allowed to happen. And that was a quote off of the news days before our march. We then were informed that the Public Disorder Act, which was under sections 12 and 14, the Public Disorder Acts 1986 were put into place. In this Public Disorder Act, it actually highlights the rules that are adhered to, that have to be adhered to by both us, the DFLA, and by the far left. That includes all forms of count demonstration. And under this notice to the DFLA, we were given strict timings. Our march must commence before 1 o'clock. And along the route that I have explained was agreed. Again, this map here is a map handed over by the Met Police to us, actually highlighting the route. If we come off that route, divert off that route, then failure to adhere to all the conditions laid out would lead, or may lead, to arrest and prosecution. And again, it details our route clearly on this Act as Park Lane, Piccadilly, St James Street, Pall Mall, Trafalgar Square and Whitehall. The same Act also covers some rules that must be adhered to by the counter opposition. And theirs was quite straightforward. The static assembly must only take place at a designated site in Parliament Street, south of its junction with King Charles Street. Basically, for everyone who don't know London that well, that's the bottom end of Whitehall, the very bottom. And then you've got Parliament Square. Again, failure to adhere to these conditions may lead to arrest and prosecution. I will point out on here there is a section that does say senior officer. Conditions may be subject to change by the senior officer present. If in doubt, please consult a police officer. So that is the situation we had. We were fully aware now. Another conversation that we had with the police, and it was a conversation, was that we became fully aware of a meeting point at Portland Place for Antifa. And Portland Place is quite away from Trafalgar Square. So on the day we did our march, we moved down accordingly to where we should be going, Piccadilly, St James's. It was silent, it was peaceful, it was women and children. We moved into St James, then we moved into Pall Mall. At Pall Mall, a few hundred yards in, they asked us to stop, and we did stop. Without any fuss or any police involvement, the march stopped. And then we waited, and we waited. And then, obviously, people started getting slightly restless. Word started to get to people that Antifa had blocked the march, and the march then wanted to move on. At this point, then the police actually physically then attempted to stop the march. It was clear that there was issues up front, and people wanted to continue the march. There was some pushing and shoving, and the police made a line across the front to stop our march proceeding. There was, without doubt, people allowed through. Sometimes the police line moved back on one side, allowing so many through, and then the police line would close back up again. And this carried on for some time. Clearly a tactic looked like it was to split the march up into maybe 4 or 5 sections, which would be an obvious tactic because that would prevent then en masse everybody falling on the flash point. So the flash point, so this is where we've been blocked. So Antifa, as I've already said, met in Portland Place, estimated numbers of around 1,000, armed with their typical sticks and banners and everything else that they have. They then were allowed to march through some of the busiest streets in London. So they marched down Regent Street, then obviously into Piccadilly, into Haymarket, and obviously into Trafalgar Square, where they were given all the time in the world to form what they call a block, which is using their sticks and all that to hold them together, and they form a block. They then obviously moved that block, timed it to perfection, and moved that block onto the path of our march, and that was formed at the very top end of Pall Mall, which is where you would, I mean, you're not going to see this to be fair, but anyway, if you imagine Pall Mall, and then you'd move on straight into Trafalgar Square. So that's where they moved around and formed the block. So this is where it was caused, and they blocked our march. Police then diverted our march down Waterloo Steps, onto the Mall, which in the past has been a big no-no for anyone to go down onto the Mall, but they moved us onto the Mall and then into Trafalgar Square at that angle into Whitehall, where we then moved on to our staging area. So that's the basic situation, what we had and what we did. So first of all, I'd like to, we've had a response letter, which I'd like John now to come in and just touch on some of the aspects of a response letter that's been received from the police. Thank you.
Right, I'm basically the main organiser for events, marches and flash demos for the DFLA. Everything that we've done so far, I've been heavily involved with the organising and obviously liaising with the police. Gary's touched on that personally, because of work commitments, I couldn't attend the meeting for the London March on the 13th of October. Gary attended that meeting on our behalf. I'm in possession here of a letter which is a reply to a veteran from the police commander from the day, and my personal point of view is, going forward, this letter and its contents will assist us as a group. I've highlighted here in the letter, my first point on this will be, and we'll obviously come back a little later and touch on the other points. It clearly states in this letter in the fourth paragraph. It's covering why this police commander allowed a spontaneous march by Antifa. As Gary's touched on, we had strict instructions, including times, as to when we could meet, when we could march, what we could do and what we couldn't do. The opposition march or meeting had exactly the same things. We know what both of those contain. As far as I'm concerned, the opposition march, or whatever it was, broke all those rules and they was allowed to do it. In fact, they was assisted to do it. As Gary's touched on, they was allowed to form a block using their, Gary's referred to them as sticks, I'd say weapons basically. We have numerous, if not many, pictures of those flagpoles or sticks with nails sticking out of and all sorts. As I've said, I firmly believe that the contents of this letter will assist us as a group going forward, because if this police commander, as is admitting, is prepared to allow spontaneous marches, then there is no reason for us in future to consult or indeed liaise with the police in order to arrange a march. That is my point of view, and I think the point of view of the group. We have calls for this across all our social network pages, going back probably for our entire history, asking us questions as to why we are actually speaking to the police, and pointing out that we shouldn't be speaking to the police. What I will say is, in future, we will be guided by our legal team, and as I've said, with the contents of this letter, I think this is basically, more or less giving us going forward, giving us a free rein. With regards to marches, it's saying that we don't need the permissions that they've said we do. So on that, I'll pass you back to Gary. Gary can carry on.
Okay, cool. I'd just like to add one piece on this letter. There is a quote in here that says the counter protest was demonstratively a peaceful protest. These people, we've seen the footage, are marching down. They have formed a block with their sticks, weapons, as John has referred to. They form a block on the outside of the march as they're walking down Regent Street. They are letting flares off. Now, for all those who go to football, as we do, you'll know that anyone letting a flare off, they're arrested instantaneously. I've seen it this season, a lad letting one off, coming out of Craven Cottage, bang, arrested. These lads were letting their flares off in front of the police all over the place. Also, there were banners. There's a banner on there, bash the fash. You know, all these threatening behaviours and all that were on this march. So, yeah, I would say, guys letting flares off, knowing how football fans are treated over flares, it's deemed as being very wrong. To say this is a peaceful procession, it could be questionable with the threats that were on some of the boards and placards that were also condoning violence towards us as a group. So, talking about the violence, I think we should touch on our findings, and maybe Cole, you could come in here and enlighten us a little bit there, please.
Oh yeah, well basically, obviously, at the beginning of the march, as we assembled, there was women in mobility scooters, on mobility scooters, there was people in wheelchairs, there was young children and women at the front of the march. Basically, as we set off, totally peaceful, not a problem, silent, respectful, and obviously as I'll try and go over everything that Gary said, but when we actually got to what eventually turned out to be the flashpoint, those people who we represent and why we're sat here now, they're the reason we're here. Basically, they were held up by the police, sort of kettled in. The march sort of moved up behind them, and then after about 10-15 minutes, obviously people, like you say, was getting frustrated. The police actively let certain individuals come through the sides, but made sure to keep the women and children contained in the centre and to the sides, just short of the pavement, to the side of the road. This obviously stressed out all the women and children, because there was as the crowds were going through the sides, basically there was a push towards the women at the front, which was a natural occurrence. People think they were moving forward, but then what the police did then was push back against the women and children, and caused a lot of distress. Children were having to be taken to the sides and taken out of the area. The poor dear in the mobility scooter, on the mobility scooter, had to be sort of like ushered away as quick as possible because it was becoming a flashpoint. But they were still held there. The people that went through, went further on up Pall Mall, and they were confronted by a very small line of police officers that were sort of saying that there was counter demonstrators at the top of the hill. And when you looked up, it certainly wasn't anything that was spontaneous about it. It was you could see that there was a formation of upwards of 1,000 people in place and ready. Basically, they'd been allowed to form, they'd been allowed to get to that position. Obviously, then there was chanting between, because this was the route of our march. Our march was going on forwards, apparently, and then we were told it wasn't. And that's when the police started then sort of pushing and shoving people who were just going up to see why. The battles were drawn, and there was a certain policeman, obviously he's been widely covered on a lot of video evidence. I'd like to add that he didn't hit just one person. There was two people he hit. He knocked a guy completely unconscious for no reason whatsoever, and I was an eyewitness to that. He hit him straight in the head, and this guy went completely unconscious, landed on the floor, and we had to sort of restrain or stop the policeman going in and hit him again. And we was asking him to stop, and he said, which he did slightly, but that's then when he moved over to my right, and then done exactly the same to another guy. So the confrontation was there. It was orchestrated for me, in my opinion. It's a bit of theatre, really. I think it was played out. And I think there was the plans in place before we even got there. I think the reason we was held up on the way there was basically for the counter demonstrators to form. They didn't have the time to form. If it was just something that was spontaneous and they were just walking past anyway, they were intentionally put there to block us. I believe to gain a response from us and a reaction from us, which they didn't get in the numbers or the extremes of what they thought. Obviously, we had 0 arrests. We had a lot of injuries. There's a lot of documentation, some severe beatings that were taking place. And then we eventually, when we knew we wasn't going to go on our planned routes, we had to divert around, which everybody did.
Can I just say quickly, there was a lot of press seems to be there as well. The press seems to congregate the area, and they knew something was going on, and was told to be there.
It was a pantomime. It was played out. It was played out. That's my personal opinion. It was played out. People were ready in place. Just to take the relevant pictures, and you'll only see certain type of pictures that aren't coming from us, and they won't show you what our video footage can. And then obviously it's going to the mainstream media. Again, we're getting the tag of the far right, the violence, and we're hell bent on just being racist and fascist, which is totally untrue. Obviously, after we got down into Whitehall, we had a delegation that was allowed to walk through the gates of Parliament to the front door of number 10 and hand a letter over. Now my question is, would you allow that of a group that's just been severely violent and attacking everyone and sundry and trying to cause violence? I think not. All that would have been postponed, cancelled, stopped. Nothing of the sort happened. The only arrests that were made were not from us. None of our guys were. I also believe that there was other things that were highlighted from people who was there was a group of people who were camping out opposite. They saw what they believed to be, and their words not ours, a rehearsal of around about 50 youth running down Whitehall turning right into a road that was full of police vehicles, police vans, etc. Never to be seen again. After the march got down to Whitehall, rather remnants of what was allowed through, got down to Whitehall to hear the speeches. A very similar bunch of youths, around about the same numbers, was seen to be exactly the same. They came down when the main body of the march was allowed to come down from Trafalgar Square after being held up there for, what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Yeah, some time.
They was allowed to come down. This same group of lads, for me, came down and was witnessed by very credible people to turn right into that same road. It just goes to show, for me, basically, the whole day for me was a setup. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to add, one of the questions that has been asked is why do they think they attempted to disrupt our march as opposed to just simply clearing the route that we should have been following away. And one of my feelings is this: if you look at the history of our movement, including that of the FLA, we've had, other than a small incident in Sunderland, then we've had no arrests, we've had no violence. My thought is that because they know we have a good set of stewards and security people in place, because they know that we work hard to keep our marches peaceful, and we have been very successful with that if you look at several marches in a year. You know, we maybe were a victim of our own success, and it was probably deemed easier to clear us than maybe these guys with their sticks and everything stood there creating what they call a block. So I do think that that's got something to do with it. Also, there's some great footage out there. I would like to point one particular video that's been produced. There's a video out there on social media by a gentleman called the Reverend Simon Sideways. I implore everyone to watch that, because that actually gives you a true account and actually highlights the lack of violence from our people. If anything, it will highlight our guys at the flashpoint stroking the horses. So, you know, that's how violent our people were. It also highlights how violent the police were towards our people. So, that being said, I would like to now just quickly touch on a group that have come to light. I mentioned them earlier, the Football Lads and Lasses Against Fascism. You know, this is a group that have been calling us out, you know, for violence and all sorts. Clearly, an infiltrated group from the far left has been formed to create some resistance towards the football people that you know, following us. I would say to these people, if you are genuinely a football supporter and been around your clubs, take a deep breath, get yourself a pair of decent glasses and come and have a look at what we're about. Alright? Don't be sucked in by the far left and their propaganda. Alright? You need to really look at where you're going and what you're doing in this organisation, and look at what we are about, because what we are about is about bringing the concerns of the people against child rape in every society, part of society, at every level of society, okay? We're on about homelessness. We're on about the causes for justice for 21, justice for our boys, Melanie Shaw. So you must come and really open up and realise you are being suckered in by the far left here, guys and girls. Alright? Take a long hard look at what we're about and what we're doing, and you may find that you're on the wrong side of the fence there. Alright? You can, John, yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to elaborate a bit more on FLAF, as Gary's referred to. My own personal point of view is that they, obviously the left, have got a tactic of causing people issues with regards to their personal circumstances, their jobs, their family lives, things like that. This is only my personal point of view. I see FLAF as I wouldn't put them down as so much football people, I'd say our own arena, so to speak. Obviously we are all football people, so as far as I'm concerned, it's a deliberate ploy to draw us into potential confrontation, i.e. violence, in the football arena, which we all know, we're all, you know, quite a few of us have got a bit of a dodgy past. It doesn't mean we can't have a good future.
Sort for yourself.
What I will say is we all experience football lads. We know that football is heavily covered by finance, first and foremost, police-wise, CCTV, the whole shebang. So any trouble in the football arena and anything that surrounds it, you know, you're in jail. So personally, I see it as a deliberate ploy to draw us into confrontation around football. That's my
Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that we would most definitely like to cover off now is the obviously the fact that there are some footage or photographs, shall we say, of people doing Nazi salutes. At this point, I would like to bring Johnny onto this one, if you would please, Johnny.
Yeah, basically, I'd say the DFLA as an organisation, it contains people of every creed, colour. I won't say all religions, but the vast majority. From a personal point of view, I've got Jewish heritage, so basically a Nazi salute, somebody standing doing a Nazi salute stood next to me, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions, and I'm being perfectly truthful there. I find it abhorrent, and I find it, when the left refer to us as neo-Nazis, I find that really that's the only thing, the one thing that really gets to me. But people on our own marches, or I could be quite honest, I've never seen anybody on any of our events do, and if they did, I would tackle them for it. Both my grandfathers fought against the Nazis in the Second World War. Obviously, millions of people sacrificed their lives fighting the Nazis for us to live the life that we do. I find, as I said, again, I'll repeat myself, I find it abhorrent. It's an offence to my heritage, and it's offensive to my grandfathers and everybody else's grandfathers, grandmothers who fought for the freedom that we enjoy.
Please share this on Facebook, guys, and share it wherever you can, please. Yeah.
There needs to be a level of sensibility here because at the end of the day, there are photographs out there, and we would be very naive to think that there aren't people that get onto our marches that absolutely do not share the same opinions and goals that we do. We would be naive to say they didn't go onto our roads, and we try damned hardest to take them out of the equation. And as John said, you know, we've got people there. This is highly offensive, someone doing that. And if said, then we will be dealing with them people, for sure. Sorry.
I think we also need to try the fact, and this isn't passing the book, we've said it before on numerous platforms, we cannot control and we cannot be responsible for every individual that attends our events. We don't do secret events. You know, publicity is obviously our interest. We want our own people to attend, so you know, we cannot control exactly who attends our events, but what we can do is try and police them ourselves when the events are actually happening. And we've just implemented a security team, and we've also got our own stewards team. The direct instructions to the security team are, if we see anything of this nature, or any people that are causing problems, then we, you know, under the law, we have to tackle, we would like those people to be tackled, and if needs be removed from the area or from our march. That is our security team's instructions. So,
absolutely.
So we can't control every individual who attends our events.
Also, I've seen 3 photos of supposed Nazi salutes. One, I must say, it does look very peculiar. One photo we've seen is actually on the side of the left side, and another one our side, where these gentlemen have got their hands in the air, quite quite clearly we need to be a bit sensible. It can't be that if someone raises their hand above their shoulder, they're doing a Nazi salute, which clearly does seem to be the case in some cases. As I said, we're not naive enough to think that some idiots get onto our rallies and do stupid things, and we are completely deplore that. Absolutely. Okay. Just touching on the reeves. As you know, we all carried reeves. Some unfortunately got destroyed when the police tried to stop the march. Leaves were laid at the Women's Memorial, as we were actually a lot of focus on women on Saturday's march. It was the 100-year anniversary of suffragettes, and the majority of our speakers were women. We've been called out over these reeves and accused of being all sorts because we're laying reeves at the memorial for the women of World War II. I don't think, I say so because this hurts, I don't think there's one person on that march that their nans weren't involved with World War II. Okay, if there was, it would surprise me. So if we wish to lay our reeves and celebrate our families and our nans' sacrifice against the Nazis, then we should be able to do so without any sort of accusations and condemnation that we've received. Also, just to say, the disgraceful behaviour of certain people that went along that night and actually destroyed some of them reeves. Alright? It's a disgrace, it shouldn't happen, and we should not be having the sort of response we've got for laying reeves at a memorial that would celebrate our own families as well. Disgusting. I think to finish off on the thing, and then we go, where do we go from here as a DFLA? We achieved everything we set out to achieve on Saturday. All of our speakers got to have their platform, which was important. They all got messages for everybody to listen to. And that's what we at the DFLA are about, is also giving lots of people. There was only one DFLA speaker on the stage that day. Alright? We provide a platform and give people a voice for concerns that they have and the message that they want to get out to the world and to the people of this country. We achieved that despite all the hurdles that were put in our way. We also achieved a letter into 10 Downing Street, as Carl pointed out, and we also got the letter handed over to the Police Commissioner. So we did achieve our goals and aims for the day. Where do we go from here? We can do, yeah.
Just to finish off what you were saying about the 13th of October, the march and everything. Obviously, following the day, we had a lot of frustration from the group as a whole, admins, council people. We had people talking about maybe taking a break, walking away. After a few days, it died down a little bit, and everybody's, you know, we've had a lot of positivity, we've had a lot of new people trying to come into the pages. All I would say is that, you know, the head of the DFLA, we've had a bit of a rallying call this week, and we've all said, listen, we all need to pull together, we need to reorganise, reinvent, and we need to move forward. Me personally, following last Saturday, and into the early hours of Sunday, when I'm on my own, I had a little thought, well, many thoughts, and what I did was, it went into my mind, and I just thought about the Justice for the 21 campaign, justice for our boys, justice for Jack Walker, Melanie Shaw, Tommy Robinson, and this Huddersfield court case that has been this regarding the depravity of the whip and everything. And I just thought these are just a few of what is going on in our country. We need to stick at this, and we need to keep pushing forward. The authorities and the left will do all they can to continue blocking us. The way I see it is, and Gary's a famous person sat at the side for saying this, it's not about left and right, it's about right and wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, and I think everybody else in our organisation, we are right, and we will continue to stick up for these groups. But as I've just touched on, these are just the tip of the iceberg. You'll find that there's many more things like this going on in our country. Justice for the 21 is the biggest unsolved atrocity in the country, and still they are being knocked back by the government, by everybody. They've got us backing and the rest of, all the families. That needs to be lifted up and pushed forward, as does all the other causes. And as I've said, these are just the tip of the iceberg. There's many other things going on in this country that needs us. We need to stick together, we need to grow, and we need to keep on pushing forward.
Carl, would you like to just say a piece on this?
Well, yeah, what I'd like to say is, obviously, all the causes that John's mentioned there. Also, we've got the veterans, the PTSD, people who are committing suicide in unbelievable numbers now. Basically, we need to get to the reasons why this is spiked. Some of us don't know whether it could be the fact that on top of the traumas they've been through and what they're actually going through as a after thinking of what their experience is. Are they now thinking of the Northern Ireland veterans who are being hunted down and tempted to be sent to prison? Things that happened 44 years ago. You don't know, what those people are thinking. They could be living in terror now. We also need to, think about the homeless, because the homeless problem in this country now is epidemic. It's absolutely disgraceful. I go out there every week. We're confronted by hundreds of people with they're dirty, they're damp, they're wet, they're starving, and these are the people we need to keep getting out to. We need to try and take what we're doing on more of a national level and go forward that way. That's what I'd like to say. Also.
Yeah.
What we also need to say is as well, what the left and the authorities need to realise is that their bad publicity towards us. For example, the Sky News programme recently, LBC, coverage of last week, it's having the adverse effect to what they want. It's actually pushing people in our direction. It's actually making, not football people, but just normal working class, run-of-the-mill people, it's making them sit up, take notes and start looking into us and what we're about. It's actually drawing people towards us. It's making us bigger. Fair enough, the numbers last week weren't great. If everybody had come out the pubs, then it would have been a fairly sized march. It was nowhere near what it was the year before. Only, we don't, God forbid this, but only probably another atrocity would see those numbers again. We can only guess that, but let's be straight, we don't want anything like that to increase our numbers. We want our numbers to increase because we want people to come on board with our cause.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. The adverse publicity, or as the left or the media or the authorities see, is actually helping us into pushing people towards us.
There's a lesson there for the mainstream media if you're watching. Yeah, people don't believe you anymore, and you need to get your act sorted out. Social media is beginning to become a massive media outlet, and you need to grow with the times and be a bit more honest and a bit less biased. You really need to take a long hard look at yourselves. It's time that you change as well.
Let's be straight, sorry Gary, to put in.
That's all right.
Alternative media won Donald Trump the election in America. That's just,
So maybe our mainstream media needs to take a little bit of a step back and a breather and reevaluate how they're doing a lot of what they do. Okay, just to summarise them very quickly. Obviously, we've gone over what we have found out. There's a lot more going on. I have to say some of the injuries that were inflicted on our people were inflicted on people that were in retirement age as well. It's just, it's not right, it shouldn't have happened. The question is, are the DFLA here to stay? They absolutely are. The DFLA are not going anywhere. If anything, this makes us stronger. At the end of the day, the people in this sort of working class people in this country really do now need a voice. We don't seem to have one. Disconnect with the main parties is there in its abundance. We want change, and we provide a platform, the DFLA, to many different groups, and hopefully that we give them the courage to stand up and say what they need to be said, and that's why the DFLA cannot and will not be folded or be damaged in any way. All right, so we are here to stay. Thank you very much, and please keep supporting us. Thank you.
Well done, gentlemen. Thank you very much for that. Well, they said it's okay here. Me and a couple of gentlemen in the room. And thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share. Helen, God bless you. Stacey, God bless you. Carlos, Dilgay, was it? Forgive me anyway, I didn't even catch the name. Listen, God bless you. Listen, you guys have a nice time. You know, we're just covering everything and you're hearing it from the horse's mouth, yeah? So just keep the fight and keep the faith, yeah? It is okay signing out. Bye, guys.